afterwards, and then we'll talk about some of the other things we're going to be doing. First thing I want to mention is this is your detox. It's not intended to treat or prevent any disease. So obviously, if you think that you need to seek medical attention, please make sure to do so. What I've done is we've actually taken the best minds in nutrition, and we've created our own 21-day detox. So we've actually pulled some information from Mark McDonald and a bunch of the other leading nutritionists in the industry. So we're going to be talking about the 21-day detox, and specifically we're going to some of the science of why you should be doing a detox to begin with. So let me ask you this question to start. How many of you have actually tried a detox program before? Yeah, I know there's a few of you that have. So what have you done in the past? Besides the 21-day detox here. Because I remember my first experience with the detox, it was a juice fast. And most of them that are out there are just juice fasts. And so you do it for anywhere between 7, maybe upwards of 21 to 28 days. And yes, you can lose a lot of weight, and you're going to start feeling better. But that is one of the worst things you can do to your body. And I'll explain why here in a minute. If you do it for a couple of days, not that big of a deal, but some of these detoxification programs that are out there, you're either drinking juice or you're taking a bunch of supplements, and that's really not the whole point of following a detoxification program. What is the point of following a detox program? Does anybody know? Okay, yeah, so you're trying to stop inflammation, reduce inflammation, or try to eliminate your body of any toxins or impurities. So we talk about this a lot, but think of this example of how often you get your vehicle's oil changed. Okay, every 5,000 miles, or at least every 3 to 6 months. And it's the same thing that we should be doing to our bodies. If you think about working out, okay, it could be cardiovascular training or it could be resistance training. If you follow the same program for more than a month, okay, and you're consistent with it, what's going to happen? Your body's going to eventually physiologically adapt. Okay, if you follow the same structured cardio program 2 to 3 times a week, or you come in and you follow the exact same workout 2 to 3 times a week, at some point your body's going to reach a plateau. And it's the same thing with your nutrition. How many of you pretty much eat the same thing for breakfast? I know I do. Maybe I alternate between 1 and 3 meals. What about for lunch? It might be 3 to 5 meals, and then dinner, it might be 5 to 7. If you actually think about it, if you've ever logged your food, you probably eat the same thing for breakfast, or maybe alternate between 1 and 3 meals. It's probably about 3 to 5 meals for lunch, and it's maybe 5 to 7 for dinner. If you do that consistently, what's going to happen? Your body's going to physiologically adapt, and that's why it's so important to make sure you're resetting your metabolism, or specifically your metabolic rate. So it's time to get an oil change. Okay, so here's what I've learned from experience. We've done a detox for probably the last 7 or 8 years, at least 2 to 3 times a year. And you're going to go down 1 of 2 paths. Okay, I'm going to send out the information after we get done with the workshop, and you're going to look at that 45-page PDF, and you're going to be like, oh, I can't do this. Okay, that's group number 1. They're going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, this is way too complicated. I don't have time to cook. I can't, I don't like cauliflower, so I don't do the detox. Okay, and then there's group number 2, who's actually a couple of times where maybe they need a little bit more structure, and they're going to follow the detox. And maybe they'll do well for the first couple of days, but eventually you're probably going to fall off track. And guess what? That's okay. Okay, it's your detox. So first group, they're going to look at this meal plan, and they're going to say, okay, I'm all in. I'm going to start cooking. I'm going to follow the recipes. We're going to follow the detox routine. And that's great. The other group, we're going to help you simplify it. We're going to give you a PDF where you can go through and choose meals, and you can follow it to the best of your ability. So remember, this is the detox. You're going to follow that, and that's okay. If you have a ripe banana versus a green tip banana, that's okay. If you actually go out to eat, or you have a lunch meeting, you fall off track for one meal, not that big of a deal. Gluten's not going to kill you. You can still get back on track. But why should we detox? Well, the goal isn't necessarily to lose weight. Okay, weight loss is a side effect, but the goal is to improve your overall health. And really, we're trying to help decrease constipation and inflammation. And so there are a number of different foods and drugs that we put into our body that are considered toxic. And we'll get into that in a minute. One of my favorite quotes is, "Let food be like food, medicine be like food." Okay. It really comes down to making sure you're supplying your body with the right nutrients. If you have any things up there, the detox can help with it. I can't tell you how many clients we have complained about having shoulder, neck, hip pain, okay? And they had 2 glasses the night before. And they want to sit there and complain about their joint pain, and it really comes down to what you're putting into your body, okay? And how hydrated you're keeping your body. So the culprit is sugar for the most part. We live in a society that is addicted to sugar. And if you don't think you eat sugar, that's another thing I hear all the time. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat processed and refined food. Well, even if you don't do that, I guarantee sugar is probably hidden in most of the foods that you're consuming. So let's talk about why sugar is so important. Your blood sugar should be at a certain level. It should be about 80 to 120 milligrams per deciliter. When your blood sugar drops, what happens? You start burning the very bottom right-hand corner. You start burning muscle. Okay? If your blood sugar drops below that 80 milligrams per deciliter, you're going to start burning muscle. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Okay. The last thing that your body should be burning is protein or muscle, and we'll talk about that in a second. If your blood sugar spikes, so how many of you wake up in the morning, maybe you have your cup of coffee with your creamer and your sugar, and that's your breakfast? Okay. If you're eating sugar first thing in the morning, your blood sugar is going to spike, or maybe you don't eat anything for breakfast. Your first meal is at lunch, or maybe it's at dinner. Or hopefully you're not skipping meals throughout the day, but what happens is if you skip a meal, it's amazing psychologically what happens. But I grew up on Burger King. One of my favorite things back in the day was 2 burgers, 2 fries for $2. And I didn't know anything about nutrition. And it's funny because if I skip a couple meals, psychologically, I think about that 2 burgers and 2 fries for $2. My mind just immediately goes back there, and I can't remember the last time I had Burger King. But that's the first thing I start thinking of. And, unfortunately, that's how our bodies decide. Our brain is going to trick us into wanting those fatty and high-caloric foods. So when your blood sugar is stable, fat's released into the bloodstream, and it's absorbed by the muscle and fused as energy. Fat, for the most part, is burned inside the muscle. What helps get fat into the muscle? Fat just doesn't leave your adipose tissue or your fat storage and just go into the muscle by itself. It has to be transported there by good fats. You have to eat fat in order to burn fat, and we'll talk about that. But when your blood sugar spikes, okay, your insulin levels are going to go up, and there's this catastrophic effect that happens inside your body. Your insulin levels go up, your cortisol goes up, and sometimes it actually starts with cortisol. We live in a society where we're in a sympathetic state all day long, so we're driving on the freeway and we get cut off. Back in the caveman days, if we saw that bear, we would do one of 2 things. We would either fight the bear or we would run from it. But now we see bears every single day, or we're stuck inside of a vehicle, or we're on our computer, or we're on a conference call, or whatever it is. And what do we do about that bear? Well, physiologically, we can't do anything. Our cortisol levels spike. What's going to happen to our insulin levels? They're going to spike, and then our blood sugar spikes. And look what happens when insulin levels go up. Inflammation goes up. Testosterone in women goes up. The estrogen goes down. The progesterone goes through the roof. And what's progesterone? So it's the hormone that makes you feel moody. How many of you feel moody all day? And it's not just women, but it's men too. And for men, estrogen levels go up, oxidative stress goes up, your neurotransmitters are all over the place, your dopamine, your serotonin levels crash, and those are the hormones that help you feel good. Your cholesterol goes up, blood pressure goes up. So there's this catastrophic effect that happens physiologically inside your body. So that's why it's so important to make sure you're balancing your macronutrients. And we talk about the PFC every 3, protein, fat, and carbohydrates, and you want to make sure you're trying to balance those at each meal and throughout the day. You can't just eat all of your protein at breakfast and think, well, I've met my protein requirement for the day, so I'm good. Doesn't work like that. You got to make sure you're fueling your body with the right amounts periodically throughout the day. And then we also talk about a 4th macronutrient, which I consider to be a macronutrient. If you were to talk to most registered dietitians and nutritionists, they'll say it's not a macronutrient. But what's number 4? And it's the 3rd part of this program we're going to talk about. But what do you think it is? Yes, water. If you're drinking a good quality water source, you're going to be getting some of your micronutrients, and so water is really the 4th macronutrient. So there's different body types. And you fall in maybe one of these 3 categories, or maybe you're a combination of 2. You either have an ectomorphic body type, a mesomorphic body type, or an endomorphic body type. Doesn't matter if you remember what those are, just know that there's different body types. And so your nutrition recommendations are going to be slightly different. I know for myself personally, if I drop below 40% carbohydrates, I get irritable. I'm not fun to be around. So I've got to stay at least about 50% carbohydrates because my body's burning a lot of energy. My metabolic rate is a little bit higher, so I've got to continuously eat carbohydrates. And what is your number 1 fuel source? Carbs. Everybody thinks, oh, well, I'm just going to stop eating carbohydrates. That's the worst thing to do because your body primarily uses carbohydrates as fuel. It can use fat, and with the detox program, we're going to teach you how to, you're going to be consuming more fat, so therefore you're going to burn more fat, but the last thing you should be burning is protein. But your body's primarily going to use carbohydrates and fat as fuel. And so I'm going to talk about the bioenergetic continuum real quick. What does your body use as energy? We said it's carbs, but when you break that down, it's ATP. ATP is the main source of energy. And there's actually 3 different energy systems. Anything that's less than 10 seconds, that quick burst of energy, you're going to be pulling that directly from your muscle, or what are called your phosphocreatine stores. If it's a couple minutes, it's going to pull it from your glycolytic system, or from your glycogen, or your blood glucose. And then if it's over a few minutes, typically it's about 3 minutes, then it's going to go into more of an oxidative or an your aerobic system. Doesn't matter if you remember that, but what you need to understand is that it's important to make sure you're fueling your body the right way, because you're going to be tapping into these energy systems throughout the day, and then of course when you're working out. So let's talk about the detox. Here are some tips to get started. First thing, clean out your pantry. If you've got the processed and refined foods in your pantry, guess what? You're probably going to fall off track. Okay, so you got to get rid of all of it. I don't care if you just lock it up, put it in a chest or a cabinet, and just get rid of it for the time being. But make sure you get rid of it. You got the preparation. The planning is in the preparation. So you got to make sure that you're preparing and planning your meals in advance. I don't know anybody that's ever been successful with nutrition unless they prepared and planned in advance. And I'm going to tell you to do it for at least a week. I know for some of you that's going to be a challenge. Usually we'll look at, as a family, we'll look at 2 to 3 days, and then we'll look at the next 2 to 3 days, but we try to plan everything out, but things happen, life gets in the way. So the more you can plan and prepare, the better you're going to be. You got to go to the grocery store. You got to make sure that you're getting good, high quality foods. Establish your go-to meals. What would be an example of a good go-to meal? And it doesn't have to necessarily be detox friendly. Chicken salad, okay? So chicken salad. One of my favorite go-to meals is an Epic bar. So I like the Buffalo Epic bar with a banana. I always have that in my lunch bag. So or a shake. or a protein bar, but I always have those because I know that I'm probably going to be stuck somewhere where I need to at least have a go-to meal. Put together a game plan. So hopefully you're not doing this detox by yourself, but you have a support system. So you need to establish a game plan and list your support group. And then for the next 21 days, we want you to break up with the scale. And why is that so important? If you sit there and obsess about your weight, you're going to fall off track. So don't look at the scale. At this point, the scale is irrelevant. You can weigh in today, and then at the end of the detox, we'll have you weigh in again. And if you haven't lost a lot of weight, that's okay. It's not what the number on the scale says, but it's what your body composition looks like. If you're the exact same weight, but your body composition has changed, we're better, that's great. That's what we want to accomplish. Okay, so what are the first three letters in the word diet spell? Diet. All diets are successful temporarily, but in the end, they fail. And this is not a diet. This is a metabolic restart. Okay, so you have to look at it that way. You're going to do this for the next 21 days, and you may fall off track, but the whole point is after the 21 days, the goal is hopefully you started developing some better habits. I know each time I've done the detox, I've taken at least 1 to 3 things away from it, and that's improved my nutrition habits. And that's exactly what we want for you to accomplish. But when you diet, your metabolism typically slows down, you end the diet, and then you go back to normal eating, and then what happens? You gain weight. The average American has tried to lose 3 diets over their lives, okay? And each time they've done that, they've actually gained weight, okay? Generally, they'll lose weight, but they're not losing the right type of weight. There's 3 types of weight loss. You can lose water, you can lose muscle, and you can lose fat. And depending on how severe that caloric deficit is, especially the carbohydrate deficit, you're going to lose water, you're going to lose muscle. I guarantee you for the first couple of days in this program, you're going to lose some water weight, okay, if you follow it to a T. But that's not the goal. The goal is to make sure you're losing primarily fat. And when most people follow diets, they lose that water and muscle, and then when they gain the weight back, they're not gaining back the water and the muscle they lost. They're gaining back more body fat. So their body fat is sometimes 2 to 3 times higher than when they initially started dieting in the first place. So that's not the goal. So here are 3 steps. Cut, clean, flush. We want to cut out all the foods that can cause inflammation or bloating, add clean foods back into your diet, make sure you're taking the right supplements, and then you're going to flush by drinking plenty of H2O. So, what do you need to cut? Okay, use some common sense. What are some of the foods that can cause inflammation or bloating? Okay, sugar. Okay, obviously you're going to try to cut out all the processed or refined sugar. But like I said, sugar is found in everything now. So you're going to have to look at a nutrition label. You're going to have to look to see if sugar's been added to it. When you look at the ingredients on a nutrition label, if one of those first ingredients is sugar and it comes in various forms. I saw a commercial yesterday for Clip Bars. I love Clip Bars. Have you seen that where it's the brown syrup? If that's the first ingredient, chances are you shouldn't be following it during the detox, right? Alcohol, caffeine, and let me talk about those 2 really quickly because I know we live in a society that everybody typically drinks every night and they wake up and then they have their coffee first thing in the morning. I'm not going to talk about what happens in the liver because where are most substances metabolized in the liver? There's this huge, you've got 3 different stages in the liver and it affects all the stages. It affects your body's ability to be able to burn fat. So that's why we're asking you to cut that out for 21 days. Now, for some of you, that might be a little bit of a challenge. I know for me, the one vice that I have is I don't drink coffee, I don't drink tea, I'll drink herbal tea, but I drink those energy drinks. I love them. I gotta have one to get me going in the morning, and that's gonna be something really hard for me to give up. So for me personally, I'm gonna have to taper off of it because I don't have more than 100 milligrams a day. I know that's my limit. I know most people have upwards, if you have a couple cups of coffee, that's at least 150 to 200 milligrams. But if you need to taper off, then so be it. And we're going to give you some suggestions on how you can wean off of it or use green tea as a as a good substitute. Dairy, grains, legumes, food additives, and even some of the protein powder that's out there. So, any questions about what you need to cut? Okay, and we're going to go through this in a little bit more detail in the manual, but we'll give you suggestions on exactly what you need to cut and what clean foods you need to add back in. But as far as the clean foods, it goes back to common sense. You know you should be eating more fruits and vegetables. That is your friend. You want to make sure you're eating a good protein. Make sure you're drinking water. You can use herbal teas or green tea.
Michael, I have a question.
Let's wait and hold the questions at the end. Okay. All right. So you could use just like this. You're having a boneless skin with chicken breasts and some veggies. I remember when I first started in the industry, designing nutrition programs for clients. This is what I would tell them to eat, and they would do really well for maybe a couple of weeks, and then they fall off track. I'll give you $1,000 nutritional advice right here. This is what I've shared with some of my clients before. If you want to see results, do this three times a day, and drink 2 shakes in between the meals. Okay. That I guarantee you might be able to do that for a couple of days, but then you're going to fall off track. It's so hard to do. Believe me, you probably know exactly what you should be doing, you're just not doing it. And the detox is you're going to fall off track, but you want to make sure that you're getting right back on track afterwards. You're not having an off-plan meal and then you get back on track. The advice I'm going to give you is if you really want to follow this program, track the food, so log your food for 21 days, and try to keep your sugar intake, your simple sugar intake, less than 50 grams a day. I guarantee most of you probably can't do that either. We had a client, I was joking around about it, and he took me seriously, and he dropped like 60 pounds within a matter of a couple of months because that was the one thing that he focused on every single day. And for him, that made the difference. But start logging your food, look at what your sugar intake is. I guarantee most of you are probably having 50 grams of sugar just in your coffee in the morning, or in that triple mocha latte, whatever it is from Starbucks. So it comes back to serving sizes. So you want to use your hand as a guide. Your palm is going to be about the serving size of your protein. Your fist is going to be about the serving size for your carb, and that's going to be a fruit or a vegetable. And then your fat is going to be about the tip of your thumb. So with this detox, we're going to give you some recipes to follow, but we don't tell you how many calories there are per serving. And we don't tell you how many grams of each macronutrient there are, because we want you to use this as a guide. Palm is going to be your serving size for your protein. Your carb is going to be your fist, and then the tip of your thumb is going to be your fat. Okay. Last one is the flush. You want to make sure you're drinking plenty of water. We live in a society that's chronically dehydrated. I can share some really scary stats with you, but you got to make sure you're drinking plenty of water. When we talk about nutrition and we go through our 10 steps, the second one is make sure you're drinking at least half your body weight in ounces of water every single day. And I'm going to tell you, during the detox, you want to drink more than that. You want to drink close to a gallon. And if you're a bigger guy, maybe a gallon and a half of water every single day. Just by drinking water more often, you're going to make sure you're going to trick your brain into thinking that you're full. Because we live in a society that's chronically dehydrated, a lot of times our brain mistakes with thirst mechanism and hunger. So we think we're hungry when we're actually dehydrated. Make sense? So here's what to expect, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. The first week is probably going to suck, especially if you've never done a detox before. In the first couple of days, it's going to be a challenge. You're going to want to quit, or you're going to think it's way too hard. But I promise it gets easier after the first 7 days. You'll start to feel a little bit better. If your body is, if you're really going through a severe detox, you may even get flu-like symptoms. So be prepared for that. After the first week, you'll start to feel a little bit better. And then the best part is you're going to start sleeping a lot better. And then after the first couple of weeks, so starting week number 3, you're definitely going to have more mental focus. You're going to be sleeping better, and you're going to notice a big difference in your workouts. So there's some lifestyle modifications that you're going to need to make. One of the things that I would recommend is to fill out the symptoms spreadsheet. So you're going to see that in the back of the manual. I really enjoy journaling. Anytime I'm struggling with an issue, I'll write it down. And I can't tell you how important this is, especially when it comes to nutrition, because you're going to notice, depending on how you're, what you have going on for the day. If you have a really stressful day, you may not immediately start craving carbohydrates, or maybe it's salty or fatty food. Usually it's one or the other, right? Or maybe it's that glass of wine, or maybe it's that energy drink, or whatever it is. But if you start writing it down, you're going to start consciously being more aware of what you're putting in your body, and that's going to make a big difference. One of my favorite things to do is make sure you're looking for ways to get back to a parasympathetic state. So whether that's getting a massage, or whether that's taking a bath in Epsom salt. The last thing, so I'm going to go over this really quickly. It's just the reintroduction process. You can see this in the back of the manual, but you're going to want to make sure that you start. This isn't just 21 days, but after the 21 days, you're going to slowly start reintroducing food back into your diet. And that's where the spreadsheet really comes into play, because I noticed that when I added dairy back in, I started feeling a little off. My joints were a little bit stiffer, and so that's one thing for the most part I kept out of my diet entirely. But you'll start to notice whether your body has some sort of inflammatory response to gluten or non-gluten grains or legumes or caffeine or alcohol. If there's any vegetarians, we do have a vegetarian option if you'd like to look at that. The last thing I want to go over before I have Seth go over the supplements is this consumer report. So these are some of the leading protein supplements out on the market, and it's kind of hard to see this, but they've got toxic levels of arsenic, cadmium, lead, mercury, and there's a number of other toxins and impurities. But you get BSN, EAS, Jillian Michaels, Muscle Milk, Muscle Tech, Optimum Nutrition. Those are some of the leading protein manufacturers out on the market, and they've got all of these impurities in them. So that's why it's important to make sure you're taking the right supplements. And so I'm going to let Seth go over just a few of the supplements that we recommend.
Everybody here? All right, so this is a list of some of the supplements that we offer here, and you don't have to get all of them from us, but I would recommend it. I used to work in the supplement industry for over 4 years, and I can tell you that if you go into a store today, you're not going to get, you're going to get what they want to sell you based on how much they think you can get as far as money goes. I don't want to, okay, so I'm like touching it with my lips. So there is multivitamin, omega-3s, calcium, psyllium husk fiber, L-glutamine, 5-HTP, vitamin C, and branched amino acids. You do not have to take all of these. We're going to focus on 3 main ones today, and we carry 2 different brands of these specific supplements. The first one I'm going to harp on, I literally just had one of these shakes probably about 30 minutes before this, but it's the Zen Fuze shake. For those of y'all that have tried it, y'all can all attest to it. It actually tastes good, and I can't really say that about a lot of proteins out there. I'm sure you all have had the chalky or the clumpy, nasty flavor. It says it's chocolate, but tastes nothing like chocolate protein. Yeah, I know, we've all been there. So this one is awesome. It has a blend of 2 different proteins in it, which is great for y'all that want to use it as a meal replacement or as a post-workout shake. He talked about earlier adding a shake in between your meals as a snack. It has a quick and a slow digestive protein, so it will hold you over a little longer than the average whey protein does. It actually has fiber and probiotics built into it, so it can help regulate your digestive tract throughout the day. That's one of the reasons why I have it first thing in the morning. I have a sensitive stomach, and I'm not ready to eat at 4:30 in the morning. Okay? The second supplement we recommend taking is some type of cleanser. You do not have to take Zen Prime, but I will tell you it's one of the best ones we have, and we only have 3 left right now. So if that's something you're interested in getting, come snag me at the end of this, and I will give you a little more detail about it. But it has a handful of ingredients in there that helps to flush out your system, cleanse you of water, so it is a small diuretic. It helps clean water out of your system. It helps boost up your digestive tract, and it will help going to the bathroom easier. It's not going to make you run to the restroom. You're not going to be cramping up in the middle of the day looking for the bathroom, so it's not an uncomfortable bathroom break. That's a little bit more information I need to know, but that's important. If you've had a detox before that's been really hard in the past, you're like, yeah, I'm not taking that on a work day. It's not worth it for me. The last thing I want to hit on is amino acids. If you've never taken amino acids in your life, shame on you, or shame on who hasn't told you about them. But these are probably one of the best things you can be taking, because even on days when you're not working out, you still need to be having some form of amino acids. They are the building blocks of protein. So if you're taking these in all day long, they can actually help with recovery rate, which in turn can lead to less soreness. But I'm even going to take a step further and say, if you're taking these in between your meals, you can lean down faster, and you can actually use it to help curb your sugar cravings. There is a little bit of sugar in here. It's pure sugar cane, so it's really sweet, but I dilute it down with a lot of water, which goes back to one of the things we said at the beginning. If you're looking for a way to drink more water, toss one of these packets in like 30 ounces of water and sip on it, because I guarantee you're going to drink it much faster than just regular water. And one of the best flavors we have this in right now is fruit punch. So I cannot stress that enough. I literally drink one of these a day. And it's like a little Crystal Light or Kool-Aid seamless packet. So you can even take it with you to work or have it in your purse in case you're, throughout the day, you need to toss it in some water and use it as a little boost. There's no caffeine or anything in it. It's not going to jolt you up.
So it's like I was saying at the beginning, if you're following the same structured weight training or cardio program, and you're doing that consistently for 3 to 4 weeks, what's going to happen? Your body's going to physiologically adapt. And even with this program, let's say you follow it to a T, and you're struggling for a couple of days. I'll give you a quick tip. Bodybuilders do this right before they're about to get on, or before they're performing. So they'll do this about 3 to 4 weeks out. But they'll skip a couple of their meals sometimes, and they'll use BCAAs to replace them. So you can use a shake, or you can use something like this just to kind of fill in the gaps. It's got 20 grams of sugar, it's got 20 grams of protein, but it's a perfect balance just to help you get through until that next meal. Make sense? Okay. So here are the steps to get started. If you haven't signed up, if you're a current client, you don't need to sign up. We're giving you this detox program free of charge. If you are a guest, it's only $21. So go to the website. I'm kind of old school, so I didn't know this until I talked to the web developer. But you don't use www in front of the websites anymore, right, Casey?
Come on, man.
But so you just go to 21daydetox.pgfit.com, and that'll redirect you right to the website. Or you can go to pgfit.com/21daydetox. Okay. Sign up, you'll get the information right away, and then starting on Monday, we're going to be sending out an email every single day, and you'll also get the text messages. We have lots of different ways we're going to try to keep you engaged over the next 21 days. One of the things I would highly encourage you to do is join the private Facebook group, because if you have questions or concerns, that's going to be the place to ask us. Or you can text us directly on our business line at 832-303-7004. So make sure you download the 21 Day Detox manual, recipes, and meal plan, and then what you have to start doing today or tomorrow. You got to go to the grocery store and start planning out the week. Okay, here's what the email is going to look like. Okay, it's going to have all the information right there. If you do not get it today, make sure to email me at mike@pgfit.com, and I'll forward you the information. But we're also, so you're going to have an email. But what I've learned from experience is sometimes people lose the emails. I don't know how that happens, but they somehow disappear. So we've also got that information on our membership site. And you can go to pgfit.com, you can click right on the login, and that'll redirect you to the membership site. It's going to be underneath programs. Okay, so you click on programs, and then the 21 Day Detox will pull up. And then for those of you that haven't been on the membership site, you're also going to get access to a lot of really cool information. So make sure you take some time to look through that. Last thing I want to go over is we're doing a soft launch of our book starting today. So we've been promoting it all week. This is at least 3 to 4 years in the making. I was going back and forth with the publisher, especially over the last couple of years, we were redesigning the book cover, and my goal with the book was to take some of these complex subjects and to make them as simple as possible. So it's more like a workbook. And it was really, the whole intention of the book was to make it for our clients, so when they come in, they know exactly each thing they need to be doing in order to be successful. So it's called Who Stole My Body, and it's the subtitle is The Right Way to Lose Weight. And so in that book, we share with you the 5 secrets to getting healthy and fit, which all of our clients should know what the 5 fundamentals, and I'm going to put the person that was late on the spot. Can you tell me what one of the fundamentals is? Yeah. So we've been talking about one of them today. Nutrition. The nutrition is number 1. Second one is hydration is part of nutrition, and we just talked about how important it was. What's the second fundamental? Cardio. So while you're on the detox, you should be engaged in some sort of a cardio program, making sure you're keeping your heart rate in the right zone. Number 3, what's the third fundamental? Supplementation. You want to make sure you're taking the right supplements to turbocharge the results. Fourth one, weights or resistance training. You want to make sure you're following the structured program at least a couple of days a week. And the fifth one, it all goes back to coaching. You know, our job as fitness professionals is to make sure that we're helping you manipulate the fundamentals, because every 3 to 4 weeks, if you're staying consistent, what's going to happen? Your body's going to adapt. Your body's going to physiologically adapt. So you've got to keep changing your program. So what I'm going to ask you to do before you leave is go to whostoleiourbody.com. You can put a www in front of this one if you want.
Behave, man. Behave.
But whostoleiourbody.com, that'll redirect you to the book website. Fill out the form so I know who's ordering the ebook or the hard copy. But if you order the ebook, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, there's going to be 2 icons. Click on available on Amazon Kindle, so you can order the ebook. That'll redirect you to Amazon. It's $1.99 for the ebook. If you buy the ebook today, I will give you a hard copy before you leave. That's a $12.99 value. So I hope you'll do that before you leave. Last thing is, we're going to be having a raffle. So in the past, I think the first time we did the detox, we gave away a trip to Las Vegas. Okay. We've given away some really crazy prizes in the past, but this is your detox. You got to take ownership of this of your nutrition. So we're not going to give out a prize on if you finish the detox or if you lose the most weight. That's irrelevant, because it all comes down to you and what your personal goals are. But there are 2 things that we want you to do. One is, over the next 21 days, encourage your family member or friend to do the detox. It's $21. They go to the website and they can start the detox on their own. But if you're 4 to 5 times more likely to see results if you've got family member or friends doing it. And I know Madison, I'm going to use her as an example, but she has 8 people that are doing the detox with her. So guess what? She gets 8 raffle tickets. She's going to win that trip to Hawaii we have coming up. All right. And then the other thing is, if you order the ebook, I'm going to give you a raffle ticket. So please make sure you do that. Any questions, concerns, comments before we wrap everything up?
Give me. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a great question. In fact, I had a slide that went over it. So Padmaja, we can make sure we send out the vegetarian recipes. I'll send them out to you directly. It's a great question. I'm not going to send it to everyone. I'll send it. Okay. So if you want the vegetarian recipes, let me know and I can make sure you have access to them. Any other questions?
I think we got a few people typing. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
What's that, Casey?
We got a few people typing questions.
Okay. Is anybody here that's live? Do you have any questions? No, but we are recording this,
We are recording this.
so we're going to be putting that on the membership site so that you have access to it. So that's a good question. Why do you think that is? So, you know, we used to talk about this a lot. In fact, I still do this if I'm meeting with somebody
Can you repeat the question?
for the first time. So the question was, if you're drinking more water, why are you going to be constipated? Everybody's body reacts a little bit differently. And one of the questions I used to ask when somebody would come in, I've gotten away from this because it's a little personal, but if you're not having 1 to 2 bowel movements every day, there's something wrong. You're probably not eating the right types of foods. If you're not eating enough fiber, in fact, most people are eating less than 20 grams of fiber every day, so they're not flushing their system properly. So when you start a detox, any type of change you make, okay, think about working out. Okay? If you haven't worked out in several months, and then you start working out for the first time, and most people, when they come in, they just want to hit it hard. They want to go, you know, you're married to a guy, I mean, he's falls to the wall, he's going to work out as hard as he can. You know, it's either all or nothing, right? Well, if you haven't worked out for a long time and then you do that for the first time, what's going to happen to your body? You're going to be so sore, and it's kind of the same thing with the detox. If you're not used to eating clean, your body is going to want to shut down, and so you're going to be constipated, even if you're drinking plenty of water. So that's why it's important that, you know, that first week is going to be the hardest. But if you can get through that first week, it's definitely going to be a lot better. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? Come on, I know I didn't do that good of a job explaining everything. Yes. Yes. So I intentionally did not talk about the levels because it is part of the program. There's going to be 3 different levels. But I want you to look at the information, okay? You can follow level 1 or level 2, or if you've done this before, yes, maybe you'll be a little bit more aggressive and follow level 3. But I don't care if you follow the levels. The whole point is to start cutting out the foods that can cause inflammation of blood. You know, use that interactive PDF that just breaks it down day by day. Keep it simple, okay? It doesn't have to be complicated, but if you've done the detox a few times like Tammy, you're probably going to want to follow level 3. I can tell you this time around, I'm going to try to cut out anything, all the herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, larvicides, even the plasticizers. I'm going to try to cut all of those out. I'm going to go, you know, we don't use laundry. We use like the 7th generation laundry detergent, but I'm going to try to find a better substitute for the fabric softener, the laundry detergent. Cutting out all the plasticizers, though, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But I'm going to do the best I can. So, what other questions do you have? Okay, what about virtually? No questions? One more question. So is there some, so let me go back to this slide, and that's one of the reasons that's one of the reasons I put it on here. Okay, it's not going to pull up, but is there some truth and science that backs up intermittent fasting? Of course there is. You know, and in fact, with the detox, you'll notice that you can have 3 meals or you can have 6 meals. Our bodies are designed where we should be eating every couple of hours. But one of the best ways to reset your metabolism or your metabolic rate is by cutting out a couple of meals. So if you go back to 3 meals, you know, that's going to help your leptin and ghrelin levels get back into balance. And that's the whole point of intermittent fasting, is a lot of times, you know, people's ghrelin levels, that's the hunger hormone. So it makes us want to eat. And leptin is actually what helps our body or helps our brain think that we're full. So if you actually go through like an intermittent fasting program, or even if you're just cutting out a couple of meals, you're going to allow those hormones to get back to their natural state, and that'll help so that you don't have a tendency to overeat. Now, is that something good to do long term? Absolutely not. I know that's, the keto and the intermittent fasting are two of the most popular diets out right now, but what do the first two letters spell? Okay. You can have success short term, but it's going to be really difficult to have success long term following those programs. Because the slide I wanted to show you, what does your body primarily function on? What does it need as fuel? Carbs. And if you're cutting those carbs out, if you're not eating for 6 to 8 to 12 hours, what's going to happen? Your body is going to start pulling that energy directly from the muscle. Okay. Quick tip: you're all following an intermittent fasting program, unless you're getting up in the middle of the night like a bodybuilder and having a 12-ounce meal. You're doing it, and naturally throughout the day, if you're going more than 3 to 4 hours between meals, you're doing a form of intermittent fasting. So there's nothing wrong with that, but if you try to do something like that long term, in the end, you'll probably fail. I don't know anybody that's ever been able to do that successful long term. Great question. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right, so let's go back. What are the 4 steps to get started? Make sure you register. So if you haven't registered, go online, register, pay the $21. Second step, okay, that's the 4th step, so you're go shopping. So you want to make sure you download the information, look at it. Then you're going to go to the grocery store and prepare a plate of meals. If you need supplements, you can go ahead and get those with Seth. Again, I want to thank you for coming. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to join us. And if you do have any questions or concerns, Casey, Seth, and myself are going to be here for a few more minutes. Thank you very much for coming out. Oh, and make sure you order the ebook for me. Please make sure to order that ebook. So go to whostrolemybody.com and you can order the ebook. Thank you. Awesome.
That's just straight. That's fine. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Casey.
Thank you. Thank you, Casey. This is Kathy.
Hey, girl.
Hey, Sam. Hey, girl. You know who that is?
Thanks for bearing with the slideshow catch-up, guys. I know I was a little off in the beginning, but, your boys got it. Your boys got it.
You got it. You know that. You got it.
You did great.
Did an awesome job as always.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Okay, you too.